welcome back to another episode. Now, we talked recently about WordPress versus Wix and what all of those include. So say you went with a WordPress website recently, or you're still exploring that option. One of the big things that I see people say about WordPress is that it's not secure. Now, I'm going to preface that with that's mostly a bunch of hogwash. A lot of the security features that WordPress has haven't really been an issue for several years. However, there are certain easy steps that you can take to improve your WordPress security. And I'm going to walk you through my top 6 ways to improve your WordPress website security and protect that brand new investment you have. So let's get started. Okay, so number 1 on the list, and look, this is the bedrock. This is the foundation for what you can do to improve your WordPress website security. It's having a quality hosting service. Now, WordPress hosting, website hosting, that is the place that your website lives online. So when you think about it, it's your website's home. Now, there are so many different options out there, and a lot of people get really confused about this. You can go with a bargain website host. A lot of them start at about $7 to $15 a month, or you can go with a website host that is tried and true and helps protect your website. Now, I'd love to tell you that those bargain hosts do an okay job, and some of them do, but if you really care about having a site that's loads fast, where you have good customer service and is secure and protected, I 100% always recommend WP Engine. They only focus on hosting WordPress sites, so they know and they have everything that you need and optimized to have a well-performing site. But going with WP Engine also solves like 2 or 3 of the other steps on my list. So it's kind of a no-brainer. And I've dropped a referral link in the comments for you to go get signed up. Now, number 2, this is something that I haven't seen for a few years as much. It's not as common as it used to be, but never make your username admin. Now, a lot of this is because, frankly, you have different user types, right? And one of the one that has access to literally everything in your website is the administrator level. So it was kind of common for people as they were building, and WordPress used to suggest admin as your username. It was supposed to be the basis or an idea. It was never supposed to be actually used. Kind of like how some places set your password as password123 and then want you to change it when you get there. And people weren't changing it. So instead, you want to make sure that you have a username that's not going to be something guessable. So a lot of people also only want to have one login for their WordPress website. Don't do that. You don't want to share that password anyway. You want to have that security, and you definitely don't want to have like company name -admin as your login either. So a really important thing that you can do is to use something that's a little harder to guess. Now, for a lot of people, that's their first name, or it's an email address, because WordPress allows you to use email addresses as the username now. You want to create users for individuals so that you can 100% control over who has access to your WordPress website. Now, if you're a solopreneur, try avoiding making your login name just your first name, because that is also really easy to guess, especially if you have really good personal branding. Basically, all this boils down to is making your username hard for somebody who has malicious intent to log into your website and mess stuff up. It prevents them and creates a barrier, so it's a little bit more difficult for them to get logged into your site. And this next step, while it's a painful thing for a lot of people, is even more important. You want to use a secure password. And I am not talking about a password that is like your husband's birthday with an exclamation point at the end. I mean a random string of letters, numbers, and symbols. Now, WordPress actually gives you a suggested password when you create accounts now, and it's secure, and they'll force you to use a secure password, and they'll tell you whether your password is weak or medium or whatever. Now, for a lot of people, they get upset or frustrated because that's not a password they can remember. The nice thing is if you use Google Chrome or you have a Mac or even use something like LastPass, you can use password keepers to save those secure passwords. And then the worst case scenario is you may have to reset it every once in a while. But those password keepers allow you to use secure passwords that are almost impossible for somebody to guess. It's a pain in the ass, I'm not gonna lie, because when I sometimes try to log in on my phone, I have to go look up the password for the first time, although Chrome syncs it in for me like 99% of the time. But use that and make sure that's a secure password, and that combined with not using admin as your username makes it so much harder for somebody to just guess and get into your website. Now, this next one is more about protecting yourself and your website than it is about security. But you want to make sure that you take a backup about once a month. And when I say a backup, I mean a full backup of your site's files, your database, which a lot of people forget to do. But your WordPress database is really what powers everything. Your files are much more easily replaceable, minus your theme files, kind of depending on what theme you use. So you want to have a full site backup, and I always highly recommend that that is saved in a third location. Don't save it on your desktop. Don't just save it as a backup folder on where your website lives on your host. Download it and save it into a Google Drive. Save it to somewhere where it's accessible in the cloud and where you can get it and it's safe and protected. That way, you know that if something goes wrong with your website, you can always roll back to your most recent backup, and then you haven't lost everything. Now, the great thing about WP Engine is that they actually take a daily backup. Daily. It is so nice, and I know that I can roll back to that backup, but about once a month, I go in there and I download a full site backup from WP Engine, and I save that into different files, folder structures that I have so that I have it in 2 or 3 different places just in case. Okay, now number 5, this one not a lot of people want to do on their own, and I totally and completely understand that. But there's a reason. You need to update your WordPress and your plugins. Now, one of the main reasons that WordPress especially rolls out minor updates every, say, month or 2 is because they're fixing security patches that they have found. So when you go in and make those updates and you update plugins, you're actually closing those gaps. You're making your site more secure. I mean, hackers are going to do what hackers are going to do. They're going to find security holes. And so these patches roll out as those holes get found. But they also just help to keep your site secure. Now, I know a lot of people that get afraid because every once in a great while you can update plugins and things can go wrong on your website. I get it. Now you can turn to somebody like myself who offers website care plans, and they can help you and make sure that your WordPress is updated and it all works when it's updated. But I'd highly recommend you do this about once a month. And when you do it, take a backup of your website before you update any plugins. Then you update all of your plugins and your WordPress, install if it's needed. And then you take another backup and you double check before taking that second backup and making sure everything is working correctly. Just go through your site. I mean, honestly, if something is going to break, WordPress makes it pretty obvious when something breaks. But go through your website, browse it, look at any calendars that you have or any advanced plugins that you've installed and make sure those pages are working correctly, and make another backup. And then you have it ready and available. This is also great because it kind of combines 2 steps in one. And if you do that about once a month, you know that you're protecting your website. Now, this last one is a little more technical, but it's also something that a good host like WP Engine helps take care of for you. So you want to make sure that you're using an SSL certificate or security certificate on your website. Now, basically what that does is it forces your website to list as HTTPS through a secure socket instead of HTTP. And you'll notice, like on Google Chrome, it has that little lock icon next to your domain name in the tab. That signals to Google that you're doing your best to secure your customers' data, but most importantly, you're securing your customers' data and you're making your website more secure too. Now, a lot of SSL certificates, you can start at a basic one for about $9 a year, but some budget hosts will charge you upwards of $60 to $70 a year for that SSL. WP Engine, on the other hand, offers them for free, which is one of the other reasons that I use them and recommend them, because while you may spend a little bit more per month, you're getting a lot of really advanced features for free as part of your plan. Now that's it. There are so many other ways that you can keep your website secure, of course, but these 6 steps are minor, easy things to do that go a long way to prevent any issues with your WordPress security. Now, next week, we're going to dive in to how to be better found on Google and improving our SEO. So make sure you tune in, same time next week.